Welcome back to Tudor Tales. My name's Anna and I'm doing a PhD in Tudor history at the University of Oxford. We've been thinking about Jane Seymour, and today we are thinking about how did she become the mistress of King Henry VIII. So to backtrack slightly, in 1534 Jane was back at Wolf Hall after probably acting as a lady for Catherine of Aragon for some years. She is hopeful that she will eventually secure a marriage, and the family friend, Sir Francis Bryan, thinks he's found a match for her, a man called William Dormer. Now he's from a family not far away from the Seymours that also lives in the country. It seems like a pretty good match. Also nothing scandalous going on there, not a runaway love match or anything like that. However, William's mother does not approve. Jane simply does not bring enough money to this match for it to be advantageous to their side, so he's forced instead to marry somebody else. He marries Lady Mary Sidney. However, he does go on to call one of his children Jane, so who knows, maybe there was some affection there. At some point she makes it back to court to work for Anne Boleyn as one of her ladies, and we don't know exactly when she caught the eye of the king, but there are some possibilities. Late in 1534, Anne tries to apparently remove one of her ladies from court, seemingly for trying to intervene and intercede on the part of the Princess Mary. Now we do know that Jane was very fond of the Princess Mary from her time working with Catherine of Aragon, so there's a chance that this was her, but again we don't know. Also, in the autumn of 1535, Henry is on his autumnal progress and he makes a stop at Wolf Hall. We don't know if Jane was there, but it's likely she was. It's her family home, the king's on progress there. It's possible that because she was a member of the household, she would have been more visible, would have given her a chance to sort of step out of the background and shine maybe ever so slightly. So it may be that Henry noticed her then. We also know in the October of that year, Henry was distracted at a banquet by somebody. Again, could have been Jane. But what we do know is by the end of 1535, Henry has given her a locket with his picture in it. Charming. She wears this openly in court, and supposedly Anne gets quite cross and attacks her. I'm taking that one with a pinch of salt, but that could be my like of Anne causing some bias there. Now, several things happen in the January of 1536. Catherine of Aragon dies early in the year. Jane had been very fond of Catherine of Aragon, so it might be that her death has maybe made her feel like she can pursue this a little bit more. Maybe it's reduced some guilt there. Supposedly she's caught on the knee of the king by Anne, and again, supposedly when Anne then has a miscarriage in 1536 in the January, some people, or maybe even Anne herself, have blamed this on the shock of seeing that. Anne's miscarriage in itself causes the king to pull further away from her. It seems Jane would have welcomed being a royal mistress at this point. Her potential for marriage is looking a little bit bleak, so possibly being a royal mistress is the next best thing. Certainly her family seem to think so, and they very much encourage this. However, clearly at some point somebody starts to think maybe it could be more than a mistress. So in the March of that year, she kind of ups the ante a little bit, and we don't want to think of her as a pawn here at all. She very much seems to be an active participant, not a puppet. So in the March of that year, she does something which may have seemed a little bit risky, but it seems to have worked and been quite clever. When she's at Greenwich, the king sends her a purse of money and a letter which is sealed shut. She sends back the money and the letter unopened with a speech ready for the messenger to give the king, saying how honourable her parents are, how important her virtue is to her. She cannot accept a gift from the king. she can't, you know, betray her honour in this way. He can give her a present on her wedding day. And seemingly the king laps this up. He gets Cromwell to move out of his rooms, which are near the king. He gets Edward Seymour and his wife to move in so that Jane can come and visit them, and he can be very close on hand, very close at hand it would seem, because there's a secret passage going from his room to that room, so he can spend hours and hours chaperoned, all very virtuous, but spend hours chatting away to Jane. So by April of 1536, Anne Boleyn is a month away from execution. Chapuis is talking about possible future marriages for the king, and Jane has the support of her family, obviously of Cromwell, of most of the court, but also of the imperial faction, because to get rid of Anne is to get rid of Elizabeth, and Mary is back in line for the throne, and obviously we know Jane is very keen on Princess Mary. So things by this point are looking very good for Jane and not very good at all for Anne. So we'll leave it there for today, and in the next video we're going to talk about, and I'm sure this is no spoiler, we're going to talk about Jane Seymour's marriage to King Henry VIII. See you then.